Hello and welcome again to the Speaker Spotlight. The Speaker Spotlight is a highlight of the Florida Speakers Association. I'm James Henderson, the president of the Florida Speakers Association this year. And today I'm absolutely honored to be with Mr. Will Bowen. Should I call you Mr. Will Bowen or should I call you Rev?
Will is fine.
Will is fine.
Yeah.
I've got Will with me today. And I tell you what, I was just telling him that I've learned a lot about him and what he does in the last week or so, and I can't wait for him to explain some of that to you. So Will, welcome, and I hope you're excited to be in the spotlight today.
I very much so am, and I appreciate you doing the series, and I also really appreciate the programming that the FSA provides for us, and especially now when things are so remote. It's been really great. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to Gene and previous leaders. So thank you for the instruction that I learn and the connections that I make.
Thank you, Will. I really appreciate it. Now, here's the deal. Can I just start complaining to you?
Sure.
Okay, no, just kidding. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to start out by having you, and I've asked everyone else this in this way. Explain to us how you would introduce your business to a potential client, and then also kind of explain to us how you would explain your business to a fellow speaker.
Well, I am the world authority on complaining, why we do it, what's wrong with it, and how to get ourselves and others to stop. And underneath the broad spectrum of motivational speaker, that's where I fall. And that's how I explain myself and what we present. And we have dozens of programs all based behind this complaint-free theme. And to another speaker, I would say that I have been speaking, well, as a minister, I spoke for 20 years. And then as a professional paid speaker on keynote stages, I've been speaking for almost 17 years, and the demand and the revenue has gone up over the years, and it's very exciting.
Awesome. Now, tell me, how does one get into being the world's authority on not complaining? How does that happen?
I didn't want this. You remember Jesus saying, Lord, take this away from me, for I don't want to drink its poison. Yeah, no, I really did not want this. This is not something that I set out to do. I was into motivational speakers as a young man. I was into Earl Nightingale and Brian Tracy and Roger Dawson. And I called Earl Nightingale right before he passed, and he wrote me. And I always thought that was something I wanted to do. But I had no idea what my niche would be, what I would talk about. And so I decided to become a unity minister. A lot of people don't know unity. It's positive Christianity. It's not Unitarian. Nothing wrong with that. It's great as well. Anyway, I did that. And 10 months in, I was doing a sermon on Edwene Gaines' book, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. And in the book, she says, look, it makes no sense to attract more to you if you're unhappy with what you have. Wayne Dyer put it really well. He said, if you're unhappy with what you have, why would you want more? And so I was doing this series, and, we already live in the healthiest, wealthiest place on the planet, and we want more. Why don't we stop complaining about what we have? So I issued a challenge to people to try and go 21 days in a row without complaining. And we had about 250 people. And I said, we're going to be the world epicenter of not complaining. And as you know, James, ministers make big, bold statements all the time, but people really took to this. And we've been featured on Oprah, People Magazine. You really can't name a major thing that we have not been a part of, it seems like. So it built me. A lot of times when I work with speakers, they want to know, how do I do this? And I'm like, this was a hole in the world, and it just sort of used me.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah, sorry for the long answer to the short question, but
no, that's fine.
Speakers are.
I like long answers. That means I have to interact and ask less questions. But the one thing, of course, I've had about 3 of those. What's today? Wednesday. I've had about 3 of those parishioner things right now, where they,
Right.
not satisfied with what we got. We want more. We need more. We can't handle what we got, but we want more.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know,
But you know what? And may I jump in?
sure.
My life has been awesome. And I don't mean because I've got to fly all over Europe and China and everything like that, speaking all over the world and all that kind of stuff. My life has been awesome because I've got something that every day Google tells me when the word complain or complaining has been used. And I've got an area of expertise that is truly, truly fascinating, I think.
Yeah, I see that. I tell people all the time, and it's one of those things that's on a magnet on people's refrigerators and stuff like that. But for me, it's more than that. I tell people all the time. I used to complain that I had no shoes till I met a man with no feet.
Exactly.
From the
The
time I was
opposite of
in high
complaining,
school.
by the way, James, is gratitude.
Absolutely.
Literally, they are polar opposites. So what I'm trying to do, there's a lot of people working on gratitude, and I am by sort of working the opposite. That is to control what comes out of your mouth.
Mhm.
By
That's
not
difficult
complaining.
for people.
Difficult
As you
for
heard the
everybody.
conversation I was having earlier.
Yeah, but you know what? You were relating it you were not complaining. You were not complaining. But what you were sharing with me about what was going on was stating the facts. If you're stating facts, complaining always has this, how dare this happen to me,
Right.
attached to it. And you were just like, you were relating to me the things that had transpired in your day and how well you're handling them.
Yeah.
So that's not complaining.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to move forward. So tell me now. I was listening to some of your stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that there are 5 reasons why people complain. Is that correct? Is 5 the number? Okay. How did you arrive at these 5, and why are they the most important? Because I could think of like 100,000.
I didn't actually come up with them. It was, and she's actually a friend of mine. And this is the second time today in an interview somebody's asked me, and I blanked. But read my book. Anyway, she wrote her doctoral thesis on complaining. She's at Clemson University, and her name is not sticking today. Anyway, she's an amazing person. She actually, like I said, did her doctoral thesis on complaining. Now, one thing we got to be clear of, there's complaining, and then there's a request for accountability. Here's what I mean. If I buy something from Amazon and it shows up and doesn't do the job, I bought a mirror yesterday to shave in the shower. And it would not stick. If I contact Amazon and say, hey, this won't stick, that's not complaining. That's a request for accountability. People complain to get their social needs met. That, if you remember nothing else more than what I say, it's all about improving our social status. So the 5 reasons are, I remember as gripe, GRIPE. People complain to get attention, remove responsibility, inspire envy, have power, and excuse poor performance. And after having spoken to well over a couple 100,000 people around the world, no one's ever brought me a complaint that didn't fit into one of those 5.
Right. Those all make really, really good sense. So now we would agree that we'll agree that the title of your topic, the way you shape your topic is unique, right? You said earlier, and let me see if I quote you correctly. You said there was a hole in the world. And it used you. I think that's how you stated. And it used you. What is it about Will, and what is it about you that you feel like makes you unique in order to be able to fill that hole? Why was it you?
A
and
number
you
of
can brag.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I think a number of things. I have always loved being on stage. I had a very traumatic childhood, and stage was a way of getting some of the love and appreciation, I guess, that I didn't get as a child. And so I'm comfortable on a stage. I mean, you put me in front of 5,000, I've done 5,000 many times, and I want to do 50. And so I'm very, very comfortable on a stage. And the other thing is I'm funny, although that's a double-edged sword. Kevin Pollak did a wonderful Netflix movie called Misery Loves Comedy, in which he got all the famous comedians, Jim Gaffigan, Stephen Wright, et cetera. And they all talked about the fact that they had abusive childhoods. It's often a defense mechanism. So when people say, "Oh, well, I'm just not funny," I always think, "Oh, too bad, you had a great childhood." You know. And so I think those things really, and the other thing is my passion for the subject, that I really, really see. We all want to control what's going on in our head because what we think creates our life. We think 45 to 60,000 thoughts a day, but we don't speak that much. And if we can change what comes out of our mouth, we then will retool our brains and you ultimately become happier. So I'm just on a mission to transform the consciousness of the world at this point.
And I see that often because, those people that when a negative situation happens or something happens that doesn't quite go the way they want it, they can repeat it over and over and over and over and over all day long and into the next day. And pretty soon that becomes their reality instead of looking at what they could have done or what the next challenge is or what the next step is to make sure that that doesn't happen again. They get so focused on the complaint of the problem,
right,
that it then becomes their thinking. So I see that really well.
That's part of my speech, by the way. I always talk about one of the biggest problems with complaining is it keeps our focus on the problem. When I consult with companies, I always say, let's focus beyond the problem. Let's focus when this is no longer a problem.
Right, exactly. And for those who work with you, depending on whatever size the team, the more vision you can cast to them to see beyond the problem as well.
Yeah.
That's part of that big leadership piece. So let me ask you, it's been let me be a diplomat here. It's been a challenging year. It's been a challenging year for everyone. And so a lot of people have had lots of opportunities to gripe, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
What challenges did your business undergo this year? And maybe most importantly, because we want to stay on the positive, what is it about this year and the things that have happened that have pushed you forward that maybe you wouldn't have done before, or something you realized that you just began to accent more? What's some of the challenges, and how do you overcome the challenge, and what are you going to take forward?
Oh my God. This has been, it's like the beginning of A Tale of Two Cities. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. This was by far the worst because 75% of my business revenue comes from me standing on stages. And I have a team of about 4 people. And I feel a lot of connection and I want to take good care of them. And so March, all of my events started getting pushed back, reschedule, push back. And it got a little frightening. And then one of the things I did, honestly, was I watched the Dan Thurman event that you guys had. And I've actually, even though Zoom doesn't seem to show it quite so well, I've got an amazing studio here in my home for shooting and doing videos, my daily videos, as well as my live videos. And the other thing was I created new programs. One of the things that I believe is that everyone should meditate. And most people find it hard to get themselves to do it. They need somebody to hold them accountable. They want somebody to guide them. So I started a complaint-free meditation program. I've been doing daily, not live, but I've been doing daily videos for over 5 years. I think I have 500 or more of them, and they're probably close to 1,000 now. Anyway, I started doing those live, and I discovered that doing them live every morning at 8:00 is really building my tribe. People are becoming passionate. They're starting to describe themselves as jump starters, because that's what we call the morning when we get together. We jumpstart our day, and they came up with that. And the other thing that I'm most really excited about is I've decided I have a television show. I'm going to do a major network television show. Now, I'm stating that with the same firmness and affirmation as when I said I was going to meet Maya Angelou. I had no idea how to do it. And not only did I end up meeting her, she provided the foreword for my book, and I'm the only author she's ever done that for. So you said it was okay to brag.
I did.
Anyway. So yeah, I'm working on a TV show called The World's Biggest Complainer. And I'm really excited about it. And I met with a producer in Hollywood via phone last week, and he said, there's something there. You've got something there. So yeah, this has been awesome. This has kept me sitting in here in my apartment in Key Largo. And my mind has just been like, build stuff, make stuff.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said something earlier, and I actually told you earlier that I've started watching those videos.
Yeah, thank you.
I get notified when you go live every day. But you were doing this probably on the cutting edge. 4 or 5 years ago, everyone wasn't trying to do daily videos. Everyone wasn't doing those things. Now you're doing them live now, but you were recording them, but you were still getting them out there. What prompted you to take that video strategy, and how has that evolved, and how does that really work for you beyond just the personal, but how does that work for you in your business?
It's really worked. I went to a Brendan Burchard event. Brendan Burchard, of course, teaches us experts, and I've been to several of his events and bought his programs. And he said, you've got to do daily video content. And I was scared out of my mind. And then I jumped into it. And what I discovered is that when I'm having my cup of coffee in the morning, I got 20 ideas. So I just boom, this, boom, that, boom, this, boom, that. I mean, just, headlines basically. And then at some point I go in and start working on them. And, the way it has evolved is I used to shoot 20 in a day because it's Monday through Friday for a month. And then I would send them off to somebody to edit, and somebody to upload, and somebody to respond. And I finally realized that hiring somebody else to respond on your social media is like hiring somebody to go to a party and make friends for you.
Right.
And so I started just really jumping in and getting into it. And every morning, 8:00, I use this thing called Streamyard, which was recommended to me, and it's great. And I'm on every morning at 8:00, and I get out of bed looking forward to it. I love it. I love the connection. And the main thing it's done for my business is it's building this passionate tribe. Like I said, they're getting to where they know each other. They're looking for somebody when they're not there. So it is building a very passionate following, which we are working to equate into online programs and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Now, you said something earlier, and I want to follow up on it, because I commented off camera. I commented that you're pretty funny, and so now that I watch your videos every day, I realize how funny you are. But the one question that I did ask was, are you naturally funny, or is that something that you have to work on, or is it a combination of both?
I am irritatingly funny. That is exactly how I would describe myself. I am Chandler Bing. If you're around me, bada bing. I go for volume and not quality. When you hear my speeches, you hear the jokes that have gotten the best laughs over 15 years. But no, I'm always pitching them up and going, because the way I got positive feedback as a child was making people laugh. And so that has been something that I guess I just finished watching the master class. I don't know if you've seen that series where you can buy all the master classes, and I just watched Steve Martin's thing on comedy. And comedy is definitely something you can learn. And I learned so much from watching him, like how to fake spontaneity. because when we tell the same jokes in the speeches over and over and over again, it's like set up, bada bing, set up, bada bing. And we have to act like, oh, I don't know, that just occurred to me, like that, So.
And it's really weird because personally, just like one-on-one, I'm a pretty funny guy.
Yeah.
But on stage, to be able to fake that spontaneity is one of the things that's difficult for me, which is why I automatically notice when people are funny. And I ask that question because I have to work at it. Sitting in my living room, I don't have to work at it because I'm just funny. But it's something that I have to work out. So that's interesting.
Cool.
Let me ask you this. We know that you have been from the pulpit, but if not from the pulpit, and if you weren't a speaker and weren't in the speaker business, what would Will be doing?
I've read all your questions, and this was the one I struggled a bit with. For sure, I think I would be a minister. I mean, and I get that you're saying that because that kind of falls under speaking as well.
Right.
I think I would go back into radio. I loved radio as a child. I was in radio most of my early adult life. I was an announcer. I was in sales. I was in station management. And to me, there's just something magic about playing something out there and getting all those ears and being able to get people to, feel good and move them in a certain direction. I enjoyed radio very much.
Cool. One of the things that, and this came up when I was talking with Troy Hazard earlier today. And when I was talking with Troy, he's a very focused, he's got a lot of things going on, lots of plates all at one time. But we talked about his balance, right? So in your life, what provides that balance for you?
I get up 2 hours before anybody else. If they get up early, I make sure I get up earlier the next day. I meditate for a half hour to 45 minutes. I read for a half hour every morning. I usually watch something inspirational. And I make sure that I exercise, which usually lately has been swimming laps in the pool. So I always make sure that I do that because exercise gives energy. I find it doesn't take it. So it's so important to do that.
Awesome. So,
and I scuba dive. I do live in Key.
Oh, you scuba? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, but just because I don't want to get on a dive boat with 40 other people right now. But
right.
I love to dive. Yeah, that's
it's a whole new life underground down there.
It really is. I always tell people if you snorkeling's a drag. That's where all the jellyfish and the
right.
and the what do you call it, seagrass is. But once you go underneath,
yeah, it's a whole different world underground down there. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences with NSA and in particular FSA, but more importantly than that, you were, correct me if I'm wrong, you were active in the Kansas City chapter.
Moderately active.
Moderate?
Yeah,
minorly
active.
Minorly active in the Kansas City chapter. But with your experiences with NSA and FSA, why should someone who's just becoming a speaker, what are the things that they would get by being in this and some of the things that you kind of hold dear to helping your business?
Oh my gosh, connections. I got off the phone today. I'm making it a conscious decision to reach out to all of my fellow FSAers. And also, even though I'm not a CSP, I'm, definitely at that level. And so getting to meet people and just tell them honestly, hey, this is what I do. This is my emails that I send out. What are you sending out? I mean, what's working for you? To be able to support one another in this unique experience we find ourselves in professional speaking. And like the other day, I had a question about something and I texted or emailed Gene, and boom, Gene sends out 7 emails and I get all these responses, and it's just so supportive. I don't think there's ever a level. Well, I know for a fact there isn't a level that you ever get to where you're not aspiring to get to a higher level. And there are people there who are not only willing, but wanting to help you. And there's tons of people who are just walking in the door, looking around going, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it's also a very welcoming place to new people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some of them, they're like, I go, well, just you meet somebody and ask some questions. Like, well, what's the catch? I mean, what's it gonna cost me?
Right.
Well, it's going to cost you the opportunity to be open. It's going to cost you whatever it takes inside you to say, I don't know this, or to say, hey, I'm working for this. I'm working on this. Can you tell me how to maybe do that better? Or can you just explain to me how you do it? You just have to be open when you do that. Because once you walk in the door, everyone is not on the same speaking level, but we're all on the same level, that we're all living that spirit of Cabot.
Absolutely. And I used to listen to Cabot driving around on my audio cassettes. Didn't even know about the National Speakers Association or anything. Just loved him as a speaker.
Right. Now, how long have you been in Florida?
Oh, I'm only a year.
Only a year.
Kansas City for 20 years.
I knew you had moved just recently.
Yeah.
But even though it's COVID, how are you enjoying the temperature difference in December than in Kansas City?
I am actually wearing long pants today, James. And I think this is like the third time this year when I wasn't on a stage wearing long pants. So
Right.
It's really great. I discovered these pants that you can zip off the legs. Have you seen those? So you can even go on a date and you look kind of nice, and then you just zip off the ends and let your legs out. So I'm loving it. It's awesome. This is great. I came up with this theory about 15 years ago, because I'm 60, I'll be 61 in a couple of months, that every year you live over 40, you drop a degree in temperature and what you can stand.
Right. I concur. I've just turned 60, so
there you go.
I concur. I'm gonna let you take us out. If I'm a new speaker, we have a number of people in the academy, 10, I think. We've got another 8 or 9 aspiring speakers. If an aspiring speaker gets you for 30 minutes and captures you for 30 minutes, and they say, well, I just don't know where to start. I just don't know how to get going. Is there one nugget that you can give me? What would that nugget be?
That's fine. I'm actually mentoring somebody in the academy, and that was basically the question she asked me the other night in our meeting. And I said that really, if I was to step back and look at this from a distance and say, all right, you ready to start? Okay, what are you going to be known for? What is going to be your hook? What's going to be your thing? I once saw an interview with Lionel Richie, and he says he starts with the hook in mind. Mm-hmm. The song it's not poetry. He comes up with the chorus, the hook. And the same is true for us. I'm the complaint-free guy. And for years, I actually tried to get away from that. It took Brendan Burchard to say, no, man, get back into that. Nobody's doing that. So decide what it is that what you want to be known for. What's your hook? What's your passion? And like I was reading Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets, yesterday, and he was talking about this lady who struggled to sell a weight loss program for years. And then she finally decided, weight loss, lady boss, weight loss. We're all lady bosses. And I mean, so you want to develop something that you want to be known for. Leadership. Now, something within leadership. And the other thing that I suggested was this idea that this is me, don't get mad at me, or go ahead and make comments, but I agree with this. Benji Bruce said this idea that you can speak on anything and make 7 figures is nonsense. You need to, the number one in order Googled are motivational speaker, followed by leadership speaker, followed by sales speaker. And if you can't figure out a way to lock yourself in one of those 3, you're in trouble. So that would be it. Figure out what you want to be known for, and you've got to figure out how to make sense of that being under one of those 3 categories.
Yeah, and I'll follow up. Let me ask a follow-up question, because I think this is important, Will.
Yes.
From a marketing point of view, that's important to differentiate yourself, but also from an execution point of view, that's important, because you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and people can feel that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And as I say, I'm the world authority on complaining. But when you look at which I gave myself that title, by the way, no one voted me
Okay.
in, and we can all give ourselves titles, but you better be able to back it up. I have actually been at seminars for people who are potential speakers, and they'll come in into our little breakout group and they'll say, I was sexually abused as a child, and I want to make $1 million a year speaking to companies about sexual abuse. Well, that's a very specialized thing. And unless that's a problem within a company, then they're simply not going to hire you. I get your passion. I get your pain. Is there a way to make that fall under motivation, leadership, or sales? Because that's, you know, why do you rob banks? That's where the money is. Oh, and
Awesome.
can I make one observation, James, that I figured out at my last NSA meeting?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right. There's this $1 million speakers group.
Mhm.
Okay, which is great. I aspire to be a member of it. Not a single person in there became a speaker, and started selling all this stuff to pick their topic. They were already experts that I've seen. Now, I went to a couple of these roundtables or whatever, but they were all already experts, well known. They had created their area of expertise, and then they started applying it. So that again comes back to that idea of what do you want to be? What do you want to be known for, and develop that.
Awesome. Well, you know what, Will? I can't wait till tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. when I get my alert. It says Will Bowen is live this morning. I've been getting it every single morning, and I love it. But more importantly, for you and I, it's an opportunity for us to kind of get together and sit down and chat. And I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with us. And you know, I hope that you're involved in the academy, and you're helping us out a little bit with the academy, which is great, which is awesome. And I hope that a lot of our newer people get an opportunity to kind of be around you and get some of that positivity, get some of that juice that you got going on, and certainly some of the laughs. So I really appreciate you today, Will.
My honor, James. Thank you very much.
All right, super. So thanks for checking in on the Speaker Spotlight. It's been great hanging out with Will, and we'll see who's next week on the Florida Speakers Association Speaker Spotlight.